Buenos días, buenas tardes.
Morning, good afternoon, good evening. I extend a warm welcome to all the people who are joining us in this special webinar number 143, organized by the Andean Health Organization Hipólito Unanue Agreement. This cycle of webinars began in May 2020. This year, we are celebrating 50 years of the Horas Conu, a very sensitive and significant anniversary due to the difficult time we're going through. However, as a reference in health in the region, we continue uninterruptedly the joint and coordinated actions with the 6 member countries, Bolivia, Colombia, Chile, Ecuador, Peru, and Venezuela, thus fulfilling the goals and objectives to strengthen the health of our people. As a reference in health, we highlight the following. First, vaccination against COVID-19 is safe and effective to protect ourselves and others. The more people immunize, the less likely they are to become infected. Make sure you and your families get the second, third, or fourth dose as appropriate. There is no excuse for missing the COVID-19 vaccination schedule. Number 2, the socioeconomic and environmental context in Latin America and the Caribbean shapes a scenario in which hunger, food insecurity, and malnutrition have increased. Policy decisions are required to achieve sustainable, sufficient, inclusive, efficient agri-food systems that generate equal access to a healthy diet for all. Third, climate change threatens life, health, and well-being. However, we can contribute to its preservation from wherever we are, generating social policies in a sustainable development model. By joining an initiative in defense of the environment, buying local products and plant-based foods, we can use public transport, cycling, or walking, as well as reducing consumption by reusing, repairing, and recycling. It is everyone's duty to restore the relationship with nature. It is necessary to recognize the ancestral knowledge of the native peoples who have lived in balance with Mother Earth and practice good living. Well, in accordance with what has been said today, Tuesday, October 11, we open our virtual doors to discuss a topic of great importance for our region, with webinar 143 of this year titled Towards Safe and Equal Environments for Girls. We invite you to leave us your name, organization, and country from which you are joining us through the comment box of the Facebook Live or YouTube Live. In that same space, you can leave your questions and send them via email to webinarhorasconju@gmail.com. To access the certificate of attendance to this webinar, as usual, you must fill out a short survey and leave your data in the fixed link found in the Facebook Live or YouTube Live chats. The certificate will be sent to your email in the next few days. This webinar will be developed with the usual dynamics. We will start with the institutional greeting, then the presentations of our speakers, the active polls, and the space for questions and answers. To begin this important day, I give the floor to Dr. Maria del Carmen Calle, Deputy Secretary of the Andean Health Organization, who will give the welcome and the institutional greeting. Go ahead, Dr. Calle.
Muchísimas gracias, Ruby.
Thank you, Ruby. Thank you for being with us. The Andean Health Organization Hipólito Unanue Agreement, the Horas Conu, was established by decision of the Ministers of Health of Bolivia, Chile, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, and Venezuela. Last December 18, we celebrated 50 years of uninterrupted work with the vision making significant progress in the effective exercise of the right to health of the population. I cordially welcome you to the webinar number 143, towards safe and equitable settings for girls, to commemorate the International Day of the Girl Child. The optimal development of adolescent girls and women is a fundamental part for sustainable development. For this reason, the 2030 Agenda has gender equity as the fifth sustainable development goal. Goals identify components focus on the issue that concerns us. First, end all forms of discriminations against girls worldwide. Second, eliminate all forms of violence against all girls in the public and private spheres, including trafficking and sexual and other types of exploitation. Third, eliminate all harmful practices, such as child early and forced marriage and female genital mutilation. Fourth, ensure their full and effective participation and access to equal opportunities for leadership at all levels of decision making. Fifth, ensure universal access to sexual and reproductive health and reproductive rights as agreed upon in accordance with the Program of Action of the International Conference on Population and Development, the Beijing Platform for Action, and the outcome documents of their review conference. Enhance the use of enabling technology, in particular ICTs, to promote women's empowerment. 7, promote gender equality and the empowerment of all women and girls at all. Undoubtedly, the pandemic has generated a painful set on the brink of a disaster. By 2021, every 11 minutes, one girl or woman in the world killed by a family member. It means that by the time this webinar ends, we will have lost 1 in 4 girls and women describe increased conflict in their household since the pandemic. 1 in 5 women between the ages of 20 and 24 was married before the age of 80. According to the report, COVID-19, a threat to progress against child marriage, 10 million more girls are at risk of child marriage due to school closures, economic constraints, disruption of services, and parental death brought on by the pandemic. 1 in 10 adolescent girls and older women ages 18 to 49 have been victims of physical or sexual violence in the past year. The representation of women in parliament is 4th of the total worldwide. This is serious, knowing that our girls need images of women in positions of power to drive their empowerment. 1.2 million girls, adolescents, and women live in countries where there is no access to safe abortion, even when it poses a risk to their lives. The situation, coupled with difficulties in accessing quality contraceptive methods and undeniable violence in the home, has caused fertility in the least developed countries reach a ratio of 94 births per 1,000 adolescents. This is twice the global average. In December alone, in Peru, 367 adolescent girls and women were reported missing, which is 86% of all reports of missing minors. By August 2022, the percentage reached 92%. The numbers are alarming. We need to promote environments in which girls and adolescents exercise the right to live, have fun, grow, study, be healthy, and have the free capacity to choose what they want for the present and future. Discuss this situation, progress, and challenges in greater depth. Today we have girls, adolescents, and women experts. Welcome, dear Annika Jasmine, Georgette Elora, Matilde Coveña, Julie Hereda, and Denise Zuckenbrough. Welcome to all of you who join us through our social networks. After the greeting of our Executive Secretary, I'll introduce myself. My name is Rudy Diaz-Arotoma. I'm a public health and global health professional and a member of the Strategic Line for Children, Adolescent, and Youth team of the Andean Health Organization. On this occasion, we will be joined by experts from the Consultative Council for Children and Adolescents, CONA, the Ombudsman Office, Rotary Club International, and Unicef. Since we are in the framework of the International Day of the Girl Child, we cannot start our presentations without first listening to Annika and Georgette, representative of the girls and adolescent women of the CONA. They've answered two key questions for this webinar. The first is, how can the government and the community support you in achieving your dreams or life plans? And the second is, what is the importance of CONA in supporting your dreams and life plans? First, we will watch Annika's.
Hola, soy Annika.
Hello, I'm Annika. I'm a representative of the consulting group of CONAS. On this occasion, I will answer two questions. The first one is how the government and the community can support us in achieving our dreams or life plans. Well, promoting values and more education, respect, solidarity, the environment, the care for the environment. The social program should be focused on preservation and the community life of the family. The second question is, what is the importance of CONA in supporting our dreams and life plans? It is important that this institution, because it defends the rights of the girls, boys, and adolescents, and it has a participative space promoting us to improve as in a comprehensive way of persons by giving our feedback and opinions according to our interests. In addition, the most important responsible, especially who lead it, should have short-term and long-term goals.
Continuamos con el video.
Now we continue with Georgette's video.
Hola, hola Georgette. ¿Cómo el gobierno y la
How
comunidad
the government and the community support you in achieving your dreams or life plans? It can help to become empowered together with my family and also give me social help So
para que me puedan dar diferentes
they
recomendaciones.
can give us different recommendations throughout my life and help me fulfill my dreams.
¿Cuál es la
What
importancia
is the importance of CONA in supporting your dreams and life
que me ayuden
plans?
políticamente?
It will help me politically
Que me ayuden a
so that they can make me progress as a person and a human being because I can be with my friends, meet new friends, and know our rights of girls, boys, and adolescents throughout the world. Thank you very much.
Son mensajes
These
importantes.
are important messages that will guide the presentations and the audience analysis.
Por favor, no olvidemos.
Let's not forget their
Tras
voices.
este preámbulo,
After this
quisiera
preamble, we
introducir
will begin this event by welcoming
a la
Dr. Matilde Coveña.
La doctora Coveña
Dr. Matilde Coveña is a lawyer graduated by the Faculty of Law of the Pontificia Universidad Católica del Perú, with a master's degree in constitutional law and a postgraduate degree in fundamental rights from that same university. Likewise, she has updated the studies of the rights of children and adolescents. Since 1989, she has worked as head of practice, teaching assistant, and professor at the Pontificia Universidad Católica del Perú in several areas of law. Since 2018, she has been teaching the course of Introduction to the Functioning of the Justice System at the Faculty of Letters. Since 2007, she has been a commissioner of the in constitutional issues and then for the advocacy of the for childhood and adolescents in the Ombudsman Office since 2017. Today, she has served as Deputy for Children and Adolescents in the Ombudsman Office. Welcome, dear Dr. Matilde Coveña. You have the floor. Thank you, Ruby. Good afternoon to everyone. It's an honor and a pleasure to be in this panel of important guests and the girls that are listening to us. Greetings from our office and to the whole team. As I mentioned, to all those children and women who are still a child in heart and have some goals to accomplish. I would like to thank once again, especially Dr. Mari Carmen Calle for the invitation to this important event and allow us to visualize the challenges that girls face in our country, like in the rest of the world. And because this event will allow us to reflect on the need to create safe environments for each one of them. This task, of course, should be carried out every day. And today, the International Day of the Girl Child, is the perfect opportunity, as we consider from our office, to renew our commitment from each one of our roles, because we are aware that the role for equity and full respect of the rights, especially of the girls, are still difficult in this country. We made some progress. There are some things that have been achieved, such as we have listened to the voice of many girls. Many of them are ready to deal with the future and fight against prejudice and to face the challenges that many of us adult women didn't thought it was going to be possible. But our country still has an historical debt with women. Remember that before the pandemic, the girls were facing a number of limitations, among them being the victims of violence, kidnapping, as Dr. Mari Carmen mentioned, and different problems that they are facing. One of the most important problems has been that girls in this country are not heard. Most of girls are not heard and are not taken into, we don't take into consideration their needs in the issues that affect them. Unfortunately, before the pandemic and today, in this pandemic, we need to acknowledge that this situation has not changed because the girls are still the most significant victims of violence, special sexual violence. So I will briefly explain the special protection for girls facing this severe situation that affects them. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. There's a lot to be said in this topic, but I'm going to try to be brief and show you the following. In this presentation, I'm going to talk about the most important numbers of violence. Dr. Calle already mentioned some. What are some of the actions of our office in defense? The main problems that we found during our work and the most important challenges following these type of problems. What are the numbers of violence, especially in Peru? Every day, those of us who lived here and even before the pandemic, we have seen, read, heard in the media, different types of news related to violence towards girls, boys, and adolescents, especially toward girls and adolescent girls. And this also agrees with some official web pages of some offices of the state. But let's remember that not the victims reported, but the Ministry of Women tells us of numbers of violence in 2021 reported in all the services that they have to deal with this type of cases, reported more than 50,000 cases of violence towards boys, girls, and adolescents, and 69% of these cases were for girls and adolescent women. And in this year, from January to August, according to the latest numbers, 71% of girls and adolescent girls are victims of violence. So there's a strong gender component that repeats over and over. And those of us who work in this area, but we are not being considered in the state policies. There's still no action against how do girls need to deal with this issue and how we need to protect them. That is why we see these high numbers while girls are the most important victims of different violence, but especially the violence.
¿Puede poner su presentación en modo
Ahora sí,
pantalla completa, por favor? Sí,
ahora
listo,
se
muchas
ve
gracias.
en modo completo. Creo que se soltó.
Ahora sí.
Okay.
Perfecto. Gracias por
Muchas
avisar.
gracias.
Y como les decía,
As I was saying, one of the most
principales
important types of violence that girls face is not only physical or psychological violence, it's sexual violence. And among the most important ways of violence is sexual raping, which is one of the most important problems that girls face in Peru. Why do I say girls who are in the Peruvian territory? Because not only those who have been born in our country, but also those girls that have come to our country, the migrant girls, the migrant adolescents. There's something that the authorities don't want to acknowledge. And we have alarming figures. There have been reported cases of sexual raping. And in this year, we have 5,063 cases of sexual raping against women and adolescent girls, which means that in this year, from January to August 31st of this year, 93.9% of the cases of sexual rape to minors is in girls and women adolescents. And 21, according to this figure, we have 21 girls and adolescent girls in average that are victims of sexual raping every day. And this is unacceptable. This hurts, but this also demands us to continue our daily effort working from each one of our roles. The numbers are not only here to be presented, are here to reveal what are those problems in the taking care of violence, especially sexual violence, and especially of sexual raping, which demands us that to work on those bottlenecks and work not only for care of these victims, but also in the prevention of violence towards her. This task is quite difficult. From our office, we don't work on a daily basis, but we still find problems in the cases that we see every day. And the problems get worse when, in addition to having girls who are suffer sexual rape, there are girls that become pregnant following a raping, and this topic is still considered to be natural, and we need to be strong. We cannot accept that children are frustrated in their life projects. Then from the society, we consider this normal, and to have them carry out their pregnancy and do nothing in that respect. The numbers are shocking. The Ministry of Health told us that for the past year, children of adolescents between 11 and 14 years have become mothers. And we had 7 cases of children from 10 years old. Remember, according to the criminal code, all pregnancy and sexual intercourse with children below the age of 14 is considered as a rape. So look at this number and cases where we don't know if they reach to the justice system. These cases reported as girls that have become mothers as a product of raping. We don't know if they have been adequately treated, but there's an alert on this issue. And this year, we have 1,111 cases of 11 to 14 girls that are mothers and 2 cases of under the age of 10. We're almost to reach past year's numbers. No girl should become pregnant following a sexual raping or should become a mother at that early age. This is quite an issue for many, but this is a reality for many girls in our country. Their life project is being frustrated. This is the situation in our country. It's dramatic, of course, and it demands from us to continue working in this issue. What has our office done from its mandate? In this case, we supervise the cases by the reports of their family members or the victims themselves, or through the press releases, which are also approached from the 40 offices that we have throughout the country. We're always alert with press releases, statements, working meetings, events such as this one, training workshops. We write letter of recommendations to different entities that have competence in this issue. We do oversight or investigations on the problems such as violence towards girls. And from these investigations, we draft reports. We issue many reports, the last 2 of them during the pandemic, related to these cases of violence, especially raping. 2 that were reports from last year made during the pandemic and supported with the United Nations Population Fund. One related to prevention in unplanned pregnancy, teenage pregnancy, and the comprehensive care of children and adolescents who are pregnant due to sexual rape. In all these actions, what have we found? What has our Ombudsman's office found in terms of taking care of women, of girls who have suffered violence, sexual violence? We found several issues and bottlenecks, several obstacles in different institutions that are involved in this care. For example, in the cases of sexual rape, where the National Police Force, the family court, the Ministry of the Women, and the Ministry of Health, we found several issues that girls face that were victims of violence, sexual violence, when they come to report or looking for help in these institutions. What are those problems? For example, in the justice system, such as the police force and the general attorney's office, there is a lack of specialized care towards girls. This is seen in other sectors, but especially in these instances because they confound the care for an adult or with a girl or an adolescent, which are different type of persons and that need to receive and care in agreement to that process of development. And that confusion of how to treat an adult woman and a girl is a major problem in our country. So today it's important. Why do we call girls? Because we have Women's Day. Why now the girls? Because we need to show the problems that women suffer since they are girls, and we need to show that women, since they are girls, because of the gender and age, they face several obstacles and are vulnerable in their rights during their growth process. It's something that we shouldn't lose sight. We always find obstacles in our interventions from our office, but in addition, we have found in these cases of victims of violence, there's a delay in the processing of the claims and reports, both from the public ministry as well as the police force. We know that there's always a delay for the judicial chamber, and there's a delay in the cases that are not instant. This has been seen before the pandemic, during the pandemic, and now in these recent months. We also had problems such as the lack of issuing these protection measures that should be immediately granted to victims. We've also found non-compliance with the protocol for this joint action and the coordination between the women emergency centers of the Ministry of Health and the health facilities and the police stations. This is due to the lack of training on this topic. What other problems we have faced in the system for prevention, care, and eradication of violence? One major problem is the lack of strengthening and implementation of prevention policies for violence against women, children, and adolescents. A few years ago, during the pandemic, Unicef and other institutions issued a report on the situation of prevention of violence against girls, boys, and adolescents. And in their report, they were recommending that we should use the evidence to improve the efficiency of preventive programs and services. And unfortunately, in our country, we still emphasize the care for violence, which is fine. We need to prosecute the aggressor and take care of the victim. But if we don't work in the prevention area, we're going to continue to have this type of issues, and we're going to continue finding cases of children who are victims of violence. So we need to reinforce prevention in our country. We cannot forget this. There's evidence from our countries where we can prevent violence. So let's also make an effort for this, to prevent, not only preventing the violence that we see from different types and different settings where child thrive in their home, because most of the perpetrators are family members. The perpetrator is known to girls. In most of the cases, is member of the family, not only in the community environment or school, not only the teachers. It's mostly in the home. They live with the girls. We need to insist on prevention. And of course, we need to strengthen the service offered by the Aurora program from the Ministry of Women, because here we still finding problems in the areas that are remote in the country where they have a lack of services, and the girls who are victims of violence in remote areas like the jungle are not going to be able to receive treatment. Now, this is with regards to those entities that are part of the justice system. And the girls, a girl who has been a victim should have access to justice or also health care. Of course, can and she should. Not only in our office are convinced that we should treat cases related, make sure that all the instances of justice offices comply, but also we need to verify that health professionals are compliant with the role. But unfortunately, some of them do not follow that, for example, because they don't know the regulations or the lack of training, because there are many prejudices in the issues related to the care of violence against women when they are child. They don't provide information about their rights, or the famous emergency kit for the victims of sexual violence, lack of an adequate diagnosis and treatment for any disease caused by sexual raping. So there's a lack of information and access to the physical and mental evaluation for the victims. So there's a lack of compliance with the national technical guidelines about the therapeutic abortion procedure. Many girls become pregnant following a raping, and this technical guideline is not applied. They're not informed about that, and they let the pregnancy go ahead, and these children become mothers. And many of them, in the cases that we've seen in our office, have had suicidal ideation because they don't accept pregnancy at that early age and a product of a rape. This is a very painful reality. Unfortunately, that's the reality of our country, and we need to consideration and work on this area. We have other type of issues also in the health system that we need to continue working to strengthen the capacity of the health staff because of the lack of knowledge and training with regards to the regulations and standards in terms of the differentiated and specialized care, and also their participation and voice when they suffer sexual rape and become pregnant. We need to explain what are the changes and consequences that their body is going to undergo because of pregnancy, and ask for their opinion, not force them to follow this pregnancy, and a number of issues that we found in several cases that we've seen in our yes. So what are we going to do? What are the most important challenges? We have many challenges, but I would like to focus on a few so we can at least start by something. And from our ombudsman to continue working on these challenges. One of the first challenges is to guarantee the access to justice, but also the comprehensive care in health of these girls who are victims of violence, but also of the parental care, because as I mentioned, many of them are vulnerable, are raped by their family surroundings. So there's a lack of family protection, And in addition to the criminal process, there's another type of processes, legal process with administrative procedures related to the lack of protection in the family. So we need to guarantee them when they suffer violence in all of the types, especially the sexual type, to guarantee their access to justice, the comprehensive health care, and parental care. These services work in a coordinated, efficient way in this health emergency that we have due to COVID-19. A major challenge that I already mentioned is to provide care in a specialized and differentiated way to boys, girls, and adolescents.
Grupo lo hemos puesto, lo hemos querido poner porque
This group is especially considered because minors are still victims of violence, but with emphasis following this day that we are commemorating with the emphasis on girls. We also have to adopt a preventive policy for all types of violence against boys, girls, and adolescents, special emphasis in sexual violence. We need to get to using evidence for preventive programs and all the services that are offered in our country. We cannot forget prevention. We cannot forget it. There are several reports where it's being said that it will spend less if they work in prevention as opposed to continue working and spending money in taking care of the victims. And according to what I mentioned, we need to draft and approve a protocol for the comprehensive health care of children, girls, and adolescents who are victims of violence. We need to review and modify the National Technical Guideline for the therapeutic abortion, and we should not talk in general as women, but also girls, and to oversight the Minister of Health. They have to oversight the delivery of the emergency kit in the regional and local governments because many victims complain in the ombudsman office because they don't want to have those kits available due to their beliefs and prejudice and some religious considerations that some health professional has. They don't want to use this, that is discouraged in the law. Here are two final things that we are still working in from our office for all the population, especially for girls. In the case of the school environment, where girls are the most important victims of violence, we need to train the education community, and this has already exists and has been approved for the last 5 years, which are the guidelines for prevention of violence in school. But in our office, we still find public and private schools who don't know how to prevent violence, how to deal with violence and the different types of violence. So all the schools in this country are aware that we have these guidelines, and in addition to offer high quality education service, they also need to work in all in protecting girls. And something else that is a challenge, a major challenge in our country after the approval of the new law of education materials, going to be very difficult to achieve the comprehensive sexual education. These were approved in 2020. Some guidelines were approved, and we were expecting for many years, for almost 12 years, waiting for them to become updated. But this new law that being issued going to be very difficult. Those schools who are still waiting for comprehensive sexual education to prevent pregnancy and violence, don't leave this aside. My dear friends, I've gone very fast to try to summarize this problem, but I would like to remind you that this challenge of creating safe environment for girls should be done with determination and conviction every day of our lives. Today, for example, the UN has asked the following: make possible that girls are the leaders and are part of change. Let's hear them, give answers to their requests, and make them participate in decision-making spaces. From the Ombudsman Office, we agree with this message because this is the only way we're going to have girls and women can have adequate conditions for a dignified life and free of violence, but also to be happy. In this effort, our office, in the role of an institution with the defense of human rights, we reaffirm our commitment and availability to continue working in this. Once again, thank you very much, and we hope that this event continues very successful with the following speakers. Thank you so much.
Muchas gracias, estimada doctora Matilde
Thank you,
Coveña.
dear Dr. Matilde Coveña,
Expuso sobre la gravedad de la
presented about the severity of the situation of sexual violence against girls in Peru.
Un solo dato que nos deja pasmados a todos es
Some
que
shocking numbers is that 21 girls and adolescents suffer a sexual rape every day, and the issues that still pending in the access and differentiate care of minors. The several responses of the Ombudsman Office, she also mentioned the oversight of cases, the statements and public reports and the issuing of reports. As part of their actions, she also provided important recommendations that we should always all promote. Dear Dr. Matilde Covoña, we reiterate our thanks for your presentation and invite you to remain in the room. At the end, we will conduct a dialogue in response to the questions from the participants.
Del público que nos ve, por favor, apagar los micrófonos ponentes. Ok, al final realizaremos un diálogo.
At the end, we will have a dialogue in response to the question from all the group.
A continuación, damos
We would like to extend a warm welcome to Dr. Julie Hereda. Dr. Julie Hereda studies in hydrobiological resource and fisheries in addition to a diploma in international trade. She joined as a Rotarian member in 2002, holding several positions at the Rotary Club and also district level, as well as governor in 2010 and 2011. And she has participated in several conventions and conferences in institutions. She's a representative of the president of Rotary International, past president of the Advisory Council 4455. He was also assistant ambassador to the empowerment of girls in Peru and representative of District 4455 of the Council. In July of 2021, she has been appointed Assistant Rotary Coordinator for Zone 23B of Rotary International.
Bienvenida, estimada doctora.
Welcome, dear Dr. Julie Hereda. You have the floor.
Muy buenas tardes.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for your introduction, Ruby. I would like to thank the Andean Health Organization, the Polytunano Agreement, the ORATCONU, for the invitation for today, a very special day. 10 years celebrating that the International Day of the Girl Child started in October 11. A significant day. We need to see all the progress made. It is extremely important to act upon and analyze all the achievements in these recent years. We need to think after listening Dr. Matilde. We have goosebumps and see the number of girls who are abused not happen. We need to stop this. And with women, women are the ones who issue the alert and raise our voices. Protect girl. Let's remember that we as girls get the opportunity of being protected by our parents, our surroundings, our community. Let's not make these girls or girls unprotected. I congratulate Dr. Matilde for her journey that she has taken us and all what her office is doing through their efforts. They need support from all of us. So that can be stronger and powerful, more powerful. We need to hear the voices of the girls. The voices of the girls are extremely important. The other day, I was watching a video of a Mexican girl. She was asking the president and the Congress and all those responsible that she was, and it was a 10-year-old girl that wanted to walk freely and play in the street. Know that if she went out, she would be able to come back home. Know that her parents will be waiting for her and not crying because she is missing, or crying for their death or rape. They want to be free. They want to feel protected. They came to the world to be free, to live their life, so that all of us, the adults, can protect them. We need to join efforts. We need to get together. All the women who are here, we need to get together to protect girls and give them the value they deserve. For that, I feel happy to be here talking about this difficult topic about girls' empowerment. I'm the Deputy Ambassador for Girls' Empowerment in Peru, appointed for the Zone 23B, and I'm working in my dear country, Peru. Now I'm going to share my screen and start with my presentation. I get very emotional when I talk about girls' empowerment, when I hear everything that they're suffering. Who wouldn't? Today, we're considering towards safe and equitable settings for girls. We have started by listening our Executive Secretary, Dr. María del Carmen Calle, followed by Dr. Matilde Coveña. I'm going to talk about what Rotary is doing. I'm going to have 20 years of Rotary. I'm from Rotary. All my life I live with Rotary because it's a form of life. Rotary has helped me to be a better person and to contribute, make a small difference in this world, and to make the community where I live the best place to live. We're volunteers. We're volunteers in service, and this is extremely helpful to continue achieving and making girls to be better and live their dreams and know that their dreams can be. Girls' empowerment is a presidential initiative started July 1st of last year when the Checa Meta launched this initiative. So the Rotary members throughout the world could improve health, the security, education, and well-being of girls. We should ask some questions. Why should we empower girls? Because by doing that, we improve the health of the families. Girls who receive education have better educated children and earn higher salaries, and this contributes to get their families out of poverty. According to data, women who participate in labor market at the same rhythm as men will add up to $28 billion to the world GDP in 2020.
Todas las niñas
All girls should own their own future. We have the obligation to protect the rights of the girls and promote their well-being.
legado del empoderamiento de las
This is the
niñas.
legacy of girls' empowerment. The empowerment of girls initiative is the start of the Rotary action to generate a long-lasting impact in a generation of girls. We can make the difference in the lives of the girls by advocating for the children in the public and private sector, sensitize the public on the girls' needs in our communities, our social networks, and our collaboration relationships with our effort to eradicate polio, which is our flagship activity in Rotary International. We see that in our community there's a preference for boys. The preference for boys can make to sex selection through abortion, infanticide, and other means. We should not forget that in China, you can have one child according to their legislation. And we see the use of ultrasound was banned so they couldn't know the sex of the child that was coming, because if it was a girl, it would be aborted. So we need to stop that sex selection through abortion and infanticide. It is believed that the world population lacks of 140 million women due to the parents' preference for males. Why do they prefer boys? Boys? And that's the machismo. They prefer to give education to a boy than to a girl. Health and nutrition. Rotary has always been worried on concern on women, and in one of the areas of interest is mother and child health. The other area is literacy. In health and nutrition, what are we doing? In the last 2 decades, we only made minimal progress in reducing the number of girls between 5 and 19 years with moderate or severe low body weight. The proportion of girls between 5 and 90 has almost doubled since 1995, going from 9% to 17%. And overweight in girls, as a consequence, it gives rise to bullying at school. So that is why we promote that girls feel safe and love themselves the way they are, because they're unique beings. And as unique beings, we should always respect them. Health and hygiene. Worldwide, 500 million women and girls lack adequate facilities for their menstrual hygiene. These are initiatives that come from last year, and this is worldwide. We analyze this issue in every community, and the investigation carried out revealed that the incapacity of girls to take care of their menstrual hygiene in schools leads to absenteeism. I always like to ask girls, what do they think? In my close environment are my grandchildren. I asked my granddaughter, what would you like to have? Well, I think that You don't need to empower.
Nos deben de enseñar a
You
que
should teach us
nos empoderemos.
we ourselves
Necesitamos
become
saber
empowered. We need to know
sobre la menstruación,
about
sobre la sexualidad.
menstruation and sexuality,
Muchas veces la menstruación
because many times the menstruation is a punishment and it's something natural, and this is something that we should teach you that menses is a biological process, and through menstruation we can become mothers.
A la vida un ser.
Wonderful to create a human being. But in schools, girls don't want to attend because they make fun of them when they are in their period. So we need to teach them to boys to respect girls and teach them what menstruation is, so they can understand that this is a biological and natural process. No one knows everything. We need to teach them and promote this type of information. Another issue that we found is that in the most needed areas,
Una toalla
to
higiénica.
purchase
Los
expensive these
con las justas ganan
family
para poder sobrevivir.
not afford.
Y es un costo adicional. Por eso es que se está
So
propiciando
we are promoting the use of this,
es algo que recién ha llegado, que está
something
propiciando
that is being promoted.
en Argentina, está muy común. Y acá en el Cusco me he enterado que también
Sanitary pads are expensive, but they can use
reusables.
instead, and these are reusable cups. But we need to analyze this, how they're going to be able to wash it, because in these communities, they don't have water.
Matrimonio infantil. Una de cada 5 niñas de todo el mundo se
1 out
casa.
of 5 children is married before becoming 18 years. Put an end to childhood marriage would increase the education level of women and would add their potential income.
La mutilación
The genital mutilation on girls in 31 countries from 3 continents, this is something terrible
de erradicarse.
that should be eradicated, fortunately due to
Costumbre de
nation and
idiosincrasia es que
idiosyncrasy still prevails.
el embarazo de adolescentes,
Teenage pregnancy. The complications during pregnancy and delivery are the most cause of death between of girls between 15 and 19 years. We just heard the shocking numbers that there are 2 10-year-old girls that are mothers. They're still girls starting to live. How it is possible that something like that can happen?
Producto de violaciones.
As a product of raping. We need to work more in protecting our girls.
Castigos para estos violadores.
The punishment to these rapists really set an example. Enough. They rape and they are free. I don't want to, it's scary to read the newspapers because we see this type of news, the increase of teenage mothers. And it tells us that the highest rate of girls under the age of 50 is in San Juan de Lurigancho, Ate, and San Martín de Porres, while in the regions of Loreto, Cayali, San Martín, and Madre de Dios had a higher number of adolescents who became mothers in the last years. This is sad. Their future is complicated. Education and 60 million girls throughout the world, according to the UN, don't have access to basic education. In Rotary, one of the areas of interest is literacy. We say that if we educate one woman, we educate an entire family. because that is the axis where the family operates. With our project of literacy worldwide, 1 out of 4 girls of 15 and 19 do not have employment or attend school in comparison to 1 out of 10 children, because our country, our community prefers to educate a boy because they think that girls should stay at home, should stay helping in the domestic force or taking care of their siblings. And that's not the case. Girls have to live their childhood. They can help in the chores. I mean, that's an obligation or a daily obligation. They have the right to, as boys. And this is the mentality that we need to change by changing us and giving adequate leadership to girls.
Vivir sus sueños y tenemos
Let
que
her fulfill the dreams. And we need to change that chip in our head that we have in our country, where men produce more than women. Why, my friends? Because men doesn't menstruate, and it's not a problem of becoming pregnant. Girls need to be
hacer la
in this
felicidad
world to be happy,
o ser la felicidad de una madre.
become a mother or become a partner.
La violencia contra las niñas.
Violence against girls.
De todas las víctimas de la trata de personas,
From all the victims of human trafficking, 51% are women, and of that 51%, 20% are girls. Stop violence against girls. We are thinking at district level.
Es un sueño que tenemos.
This is a dream we have.
En todos los restaurantes, en todos los lugares,
every restaurant,
no se permite la discriminación.
the signs that they don't allow discrimination. We should also have to have acts that in these places to empower girls and protect girls. We respect girls and no violence against girls.
Vamos a leer esos mensajes.
Those messages can be read by all of us, and we can change our chip inside our mind that girls, where girls need to be protected, deserve to be protected, and need to be empowered. Empowered by all of us to recognize their value.
¿Qué está haciendo Rotary?
Rotary doing. The clubs and districts from Rotary are creating and implementing projects that improve the quality of life of girls and improve their chances of enjoying a safe, healthy, and productive life. We're also modifying their existing projects. All the clubs
se preguntan qué desafíos se enfrentan las niñas en nuestras comunidades.
Ask what are the challenges that girls face in our communities. We study that to know how to work on that. How can the club find a solution to these challenges? What cultural standards in our area could prevent girls to attend school? With what local organizations we could collaborate? How can we create awareness about the need to empower girls in our communities and among our collaborators? And we ask ourselves, does our club empower women so they can have leadership positions?
Tenemos recursos.
We have resources. Resources are the ambassadors of girls' empowerment. As I mentioned, I'm the ambassador for Peru. We have opportunities with obtaining more information about the comprehensive approach of Rotary to protect the youth. There are Rotary action groups. You can find this information in the Rotary International webpage. We can get together with these action groups, and we have a technical advisor team in the Rotary Foundation cadre These are advisors that help us in this initiative to empower girls.
Tenemos ahí un correo.
And here we have an email address.
Encontramos en el Rotary Showcase están
The
los
Rotary Showcase, we find the empowerment projects for girls that have been posted in the web, so this can provide support and we can replicate this project if it's feasible for our area. And these are the partnerships. We need to celebrate strategic partnerships. For example, like we've done with the Andean Health Organization, we feel very thankful. We can work together towards the goal to empower girls. We also achieved, celebrated strategic alliance with the UN, and we hope to continue establishing partnerships with the local governments, our communities, municipalities, so we can get into action together. The more we are, the better we're going to be working. I believe that union makes force. Childhood. What is childhood?
Nuestro tesoro más preciado.
That's the most precious treasure to empower a girl, and you will change the world. I would like to present some projects that are active now. Our Rotary year starts July 1st and ends June 30. Last year was a year of a lot of emotion because we saw how the young persons presented projects for girls empowerment, and they were working with girls, with vulnerable girls, girls who were in foster homes, in nurseries. See these children thinking in projects to help other children was so good for us and gave us a lot of enthusiasm because we knew that we were in the right track. We're teaching children to respect girls, boys respecting girls, help them, listen them. One of the girls told me, very good for me to participate in this girls' home because I realized everything that I have had in my house and don't really for granted. They don't have anything. They have their bed and the clothes they get. And when we visit them, they feel so happy because then something of happiness, and they transmit us their energy to continue working.
A las niñas y
Hear
adolescentes
the girls and adolescents is something wonderful. We know that they're going to be sincere in what they say and from the bottom of their heart when they work with these girls who have no home.
proyectos a nivel de las
We've had projects at the borders
con la trata de niñas.
with girls trafficking and human trafficking. And we've been celebrating workshops to strengthen their activities because many of them been mistreated, don't have self-love, and they're easily manipulated. And this is what we're trying to organize in the border cities with self-esteem workshops, entrepreneurship workshops, so they can see that the future goes beyond of what they need to write their own history and change their life. At this moment, there are several projects that I would like to mention. Some of them, the Council for Good Living is a project together with a club in Genova, Italy. It's a Rotary project for peace and respect for people to find the strengthening of girls and the same opportunities. Respect for people with emphasis on girls and adolescents, promote social peace, and prevention of gender violence. There's another project of youth and entrepreneurship by this women group in Rotary Club from Cañete, quite active, and their motto is for safe and empowered girls. Strong families, love and limits. The another Rotary Club with the National Committee for Development and the Vida. It's a training, intervention in skills, promoting health in their family, in their adolescence to prevent risk behaviors, training parents and adolescent children in the Santa Isabel School. The Safe and Empowered Girls from the Rotary Cañete, as I mentioned before, is the first entrepreneur training center for the youth to empower girls. We are calling for participation in several 3-month duration workshops, and they can start a small business. They're starting with a bakery. And here we see this flyer.
Listos para empezar.
They're ready to start.
Ideas innovadoras que
These
tenemos.
are innovative ideas we need to transmit and replicate.
Nosotros somos dos distritos en el Perú.
We have 2 districts in Peru, 4455 from Lima to the south and 4455 from Callao to the north. And this is a project that has started
de niñas.
It's in a girls, abused girls home, and the project is called Writing Our History. They want to provide knowledge and skills for life, self-esteem, autonomy, anxiety control, health programs to explain what the human body is, provide them to techniques to take care during their periods because they're girls, small girls.
Las armas necesarias para
workshop to get the necessary conditions for an entrepreneur or small business. In this home, despite the difficult circumstances, they have the power of writing their own history.
Ellas lo que hicieron al visitar este colegio.
When they visited this home, they gave them a diary so they can write their own history. On a daily basis, they express what they feel. This is some of the pictures of the working groups with these girls. It's amazing how at the beginning they were so shy, but little by little they feel more relaxed. And this is the special group that works with these girls. We have a psychologist, all the necessary stuff.
Hay que tener mucho cuidado.
We need to be very careful. We have psychologists, health professionals, all the necessary to provide them with a calm environment, and a safe environment.
Desarrollarse
they can
lo que necesitan.
develop.
Este es otro proyecto que ya se inauguró.
This is another ongoing project. The first one from Rotary Club Trujillo Norte with 2 lectures and a donation of books for the library.
Y arborización del perímetro de su colegio, finalizando con un refrigerio. Y es interesante saber.
It's interesting to know that the 4 levels of the family of the Rotary Club participated with the different groups from the Rotary, such as Rotaract and Interact,
pero le dieron un adicional
but they provide an additional project with this basic Portuguese course thanks to the collaboration of the Rotary Brazilian Academy for girls and boys of this school in Alto Trujillo.
Y ya desde el 29 de agosto ya
And from
están
last August, they start their classes learning Portuguese, and little by little we will try to provide them weapons so they can progress and something else with life. This is the group that went to work with them,
se muestra a las niñas
and you've seen the picture where you've seen the girls by planting trees
cerro por protección
up of the mountain.
Quiero decirles,
And I would like to tell you once again, empower a girl and you will change the world. And as I always say, Mother Teresa from Cuba, teach how to fly, but will not fly your flight. How to live, but they will not live your life. Teach them to dream, but they will not dream your dream. But in each flight, in each life, and in each dream,
todo lo aprendido.
they've learned will remain. So we continue working together to empower girls because we are women and we are action. What we can do.
Y sabemos
We are fighters, and we know that by empowering a girl, we will improve, make a better world, and make our dear Peru a country with no violence against girls that are literate and that can live their dreams because they're going to have a safe environment. Thank you to all of you who work behind me to help them and make their dreams a reality.
Imaginemos un Perú sin violencia.
Imagine a Peru without violence, without gender violence, and equality
Muchísimas
in
gracias.
everything. Thank you very much.
Estimada doctora
Thank
Julie.
you, dear Dr. Julie
Ella
Herrera.
compartió las líneas de
You
acción
share the
para
action
la
lines
la seguridad,
of life,
salud integral,
security, and
base,
comprehensive
los derechos
health,
sexuales y
education, and
reproductivos
reproductive and
de las niñas y
sexual rights
adolescentes. Asimismo,
of children and
compartió con
adolescents.
nosotros el
You also
trabajo
share with us
del Rotary en
the Rotary efforts in
el
the
Consejo para
projects
el Buen
in
Vivir, familias
advices for good living, strong families,
juvenil para niñas seguras,
youth entrepreneurship,
y también el
safe and empower girls, and also the project Writing Our History in Trujillo.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Reiteramos el agradecimiento por la
We
disertación.
would thank you again for your lecture, and at the end, we will conduct a dialogue in response to the questions that we have already received for Dr. Herrera. Before giving the floor to my colleague Forley Chavez, we would like to greet all of you who are connected and accompanying us from several countries. We have audience from Argentina, Bolivia, Chile, Colombia, Cuba, United States, Honduras, Mexico, Panama, Paraguay, Guatemala, Peru, Venezuela, and from institutions such as the Ministry of Health of Bolivia, Chile, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, and Venezuela, the CONA from Peru, the Navy Hospital, the Roundtable to Fight Against Poverty in Peru, the Argentine Psychiatric
Peruana y el Hospital de Ventanilla.
Association, the Peruvian Red Cross. We thank the presence of each one of the members of the audience. Now, Forley Chavez will continue with the moderation.
Gracias, querida Ruby. Saludos
Thank you, dear Ruby. Kind regards to all present. My name is Forley Chavez Romero. I'm a public health and global health professional from the Horas Conjunct, and I will continue with the moderation of this event. We will give a warm welcome to Denise Stuckenbrook,
Asesora
He
regional de
is a regional gender advisor for Unicef in Latin America and the Caribbean, and is based in Panama City. She leads a team of regional gender specialists whom she works fostering partnerships to empower women and girls and integrating principles of gender equality and non-discrimination into UNICEF programs in more than 24 countries in the region. Prior to joining UNICEF in Latin America and the Caribbean in early 2022, Denise was a team leader of a sexual and reproductive health program for adolescent girls implemented in Kenya and Nigeria. She has nearly 25 years of experience in international development, working on the design and execution of programs to implement child and adolescent rights and women's rights. She has held global and regional roles in a wide range of international organizations over the years, often focusing on East and Southern Africa and Latin America and the Caribbean. Holds a master's degree in children's rights from the University of Freiburg in Switzerland and a bachelor's degree in history from the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro. Welcome, dear Dr. Denise Stuckenbrook. You have 20 minutes for your presentation. The floor is yours. Thank you. Good afternoon, good evening to all here who are still with us at this time of the day. Privilege here and sharing with you these final minutes with you. Let me make sure that I can share my screen. Let me see.
Sí,
Can you see my slide? Yes, perfect. Yes. Well, thank you for the introduction. I will take the opportunity to thank the Andean Health Organization, Hippolyto Unano Agreement for this invitation on this very special day, International Day of the Girl Child. As for UNICEF, it's a very special day. We are celebrating the 10th anniversary. Reaffirm the commitment that this is the time of girls. It's now. It's not tomorrow. It's not the day after tomorrow. It's today also. So it's a real privilege to be here in this moment after listening the two previous speakers. It's been a privilege to hear them from their commitment and effort and the work done by the organization to promote gender equality and concrete progress in terms of the rights of girls and adolescent girls in this region. So my work is relatively easy, and because I only have 20 minutes and I'm aware that we want to leave space for the Q&A at the end, I'm going to try to be very brief because the previous speakers have already covered by giving us the context where we move in this region, the problem with regards to the rights of girls and adolescent girls, women of this region, that is of great concern to all of us. And in UNICEF, we also concerned and we have a commitment to overcome those challenges and those barriers. So today they've asked me to focus in sharing with you what are we doing in UNICEF, how do we work in UNICEF to promote gender equality and our gender action plan. Move ahead in my presentation to tell you how we are organized, how we're working. I would like to start by telling you that we have a new action plan for gender equality. This is a third action plan global level. This action plan started, implemented this year. It's going to go all the way to 2025. And this is a plan that follows new gender policy that we approved last year in UNICEF 2021. And up to 2030, it's going to be active in achieving the SDGs, and the action plan makes the policy operate. And those documents, you can easily find them in the Unicef webpage and are available to the public if you want to know more about it. So I would like to present to you what is that new gender policy. And then I'll tell you something else about the plan and an important characteristics and done with this plan. For us, it is very important that all our partners and organizations that we work with, in particular governments and the civil society and girls and adolescent organizations, understand our commitment with gender equality starts with a transformative vision that requires we promote the comprehensive effort of our institution for gender equality as a central mandate, as a core part of UNICEF mandate. It's not part of the other things that we do, but it's part of the whole that has a transversal or cross-sectional act. We see gender equality as an accelerator to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. We will not reach those SDGs if we don't get gender equality since today or yesterday. This commitment has to be by sharing this commitment with the adolescent girls leadership. So we would like to promote more stronger institutions with the girls and adolescent girls and women that we work with. We work from gender integrated results across the humanitarian development continuum, a mandate from Unicef, and we are committed from this policy with the action plan in our own organization. It is important that we commit in promoting the equality inside Unicef. We have many ones in course inside our organization with that same goal, not only external with the government and organizations that we work with, but also inside our institution. General policy and the action plan, where I'm going to focus more, is it's a guide that supports us in our organization, that gives us the framework for coming years, and it's aligned to our global strategic plan. We have two global plans in UNICEF. This is the strategic plan, global strategic plan approved by the General Assembly in the UN, and establishes the pathway where we're heading as an organization, and the Gender Action Plan. These are two plans. Strategic plan, which is a program, goes together with the Gender Action Plan. These are the guide us as an organization globally. And this action plan do with this affirmative action of gender equality. We've heard, and there's no need for me to repeat the situation of women and girls, and I will quickly share some data that have already been presented by the previous speakers. This is the data of the global situation of women and girls that have lead us to create this plan. In 2017, for example, almost 300,000 women and girls died from complications of pregnancies and birth that could be preventable, or deaths that could been prevented in most of
69% de las niñas están
9% of girls are enrolled in school or employment or training versus 86% of boys. So girls are still
en el mercado
occupying less space in labor space, but also in the school. We talk about those domestic violence, sexual violence,
matrimonio infantil,
children, marriages, and the menstruation issues. So I won't expand. You have the numbers there.
como digo,
But
me han apoyado mucho y nos estamos complementando.
we're just confirming the data that was previously presented.
Y finalmente otro tema
And
que
finally, another issue
se ve cada vez más potente
that is more and more powerful is the discussion on the where girls have 2 to 3 times more likely than boys to perform household chores.
este mismo hecho les
This
resta
fact gives them less opportunities to study, to look for a job, or have opportunities to be in sport activities or enjoying a
entonces
richer social life. This data is related to previous information. Back to our GAP, which is the Gender Action Plan, B has a results framework that is quite complex. Take you to see the details in this busy slide, but I would like to highlight some interesting points. No, our strategic plan divides the Unicef work the priority areas where we work as an organization in five areas, all areas that you see in the columns. First one is health and nutrition, followed by education. Number 3, child protection against violence. Fourth goal is water, sanitation, and hygiene. And the fifth is social protection. For the 5 program areas in the Gender Action Plan, what it does is unpack and propose how we as an organization are going to promote gender equality in each one of the areas. So we have priority for each one of these 5 areas, which are here. The gender priorities across the life course, a priority for each one of the goal areas. And then here we have in purple 4 specific priorities for adolescent girls.
Y ya hablo un poquito más de eso en un momento.
I will talk about that later, but I will also like to tell you that in this pink area, we have intersectorial topics for those of us who work in all the areas.
Todos en nuestra organización.
Should be the responsibility of everyone in our organization to fight against gender violence.
Programar de manera transformadora en
will
género.
Promote the transformating characteristics, gender, and our own institutional commitment by accountability. We're promoting gender equality as an organization. And in this program area, you see the boys and men as allies. That is extremely important
Como fuertes
to work
aliados.
with both men as strong allies to reach this gender equality.
Ese es el marco conceptual.
So this is the conceptual framework. I'm not going to expand more, so let me just move ahead. I think it's important to insist that this action plan
compromete muy claramente en avanzar el
there is
bienestar.
a commitment to promote the adolescent well-being. Today we are issuing a new global strategy for adolescent girls that calls us to work with adolescent girls in promoting and facilitating their leadership strengthening their capacity to exercise their leadership and considering these priority areas and extremely important to get to the indicators where adolescent girls are staying behind, which has already been mentioned by the previous speaker. So I will continue to tell you about how we see the gender transformative approach that we promote from Unicef. This is not new. The organization of the UN system and many other feminist organizations who work in women's and girls' rights are also working with this type of approach. I will explain how we see it from UNICEF.
Y creo que lo más
And I
importante,
think that the most important thing to share, something that we heard from the previous speakers, have to do with working on prevention. The transformative programming approach
tenemos que trabajar
acknowledges that we need to work in the root, identifying the root of inequality,
para entender
and work to understand what are the social standards, what are the practices that generates gender inequality from the start, so we can fight against it, not work only to the response to the impact of gender inequality, which we know what is because of all the numbers we've seen. But I also agree with the previous speakers that if we don't work prevention, if we don't get there before, we will never be able to solve these difficulties that we live on and to close the gap. So we are proposing to work with the gender determinants and social standards that generate inequality. So that means that we need to be very specific and tackle the root causes, identifying what are the different social contexts, and to work at this level with the partners that can help and support the transformation and these structural causes that generate the gender inequality. From the start, we use a tool that I share with you, which is also a tool that other institutions use, which is the Gender Continuum, and I could share with you so you can know that this is a tool that exists and you can find more information about it in the web pages. But we use this tool to support our teams and colleagues, the organization which we work with, to identify their interventions, their programs, what each institution does in each project, program, or intervention, if we are really operating in a transforming, not only be sensitive to gender or responsive to gender, but also to challenge ourselves to go even further and to eliminate the structural barriers, empower the least favored populations. Again, for this, we believe it's very important to work together with women's and girls' organizations that are the ones that understand best what structural barriers they're facing. So to closing, the change strategies that we have adopted to promote that transformative vision are shared here. Do not accept that things are always going to be the same, to challenge the status quo, promote learning, and review gender standards and interrupt the intergenerational transfers of gender inequality. Be always questioning our daily practice, never accept to reproduce what we have received and we already know. Work at all the levels of the social and ecological framework through sectors and to work from the community level, individual to the politics, to understand power dynamics that sustain this inequality in gender, and to involve girls and adolescents at all levels and their diversity. Understand that that diversity many times all of us who work in these areas,
abrazar la diversidad,
but to embrace diversity and include in the most inclusive way the diversity in our daily work, balance work of masculinity with girls empowerment. We have that challenge to make sure that the work we do with boys that is so important as our allies to promote gender equality that goes together with empowerment of the girls, adolescent girls and women.
¿no? Desafío de equilibrar
This balance of power in a society that is ruled by patriarchs. And of course, to continue involving all those of you who are here in this meeting to efforts
a nuestro llamado de esta
to
igualdad de
our
género.
call for this gender equality. This belongs to all of us together tonight
Porque cada una de
and to
nuestras organizaciones
complement efforts. Because each organization has its own strength. We know how to work with different stakeholders. We have comparative advantages. And by collaborating and joining efforts, we will get further and faster. So I think that I'm going to stop here. I invite you to visit our webpage where we have many resources, many documents that show some of the topics in more depth. And to close with, well, thanks to all of you who are participating at this time with a lot of enthusiasm. And now we can have a few minutes for some Q&A. Thank you very much for your invitation. Very much.
Excelente, agradecemos la
We
intervención.
thank the intervention of Dr. Denise Zuckerberg, who talked about the Gender Action Plan from Unicef. This action plan promotes gender equality in the programs and working areas from Unicef. Extremely important due to the serious situation of girls worldwide. Just to mention a few numbers, there's still gaps between boys and girls, where girls still do more household chores. They have less attendance to school, and 1 out of 3 suffers domestic violence, sexual violence, with early marriage. And even now today, menstruation defines if and study, work, or participate in these activities. Among the plan, we have health and nutrition, education, in children protection, water sanitation and hygiene, social protection. She also spoke about a tool to the Gender Continuum, where you identify the interventions are transforming the gender, so they look to correct the gender inequalities by eliminating the structural barriers and empowering. Promotes change strategies that we can briefly summarize the importance of work with gender partners, with intersectoral actions and involving girls, adolescent girls, and women in the diversity, finding a balance between work on communities and empowerment. Dear Denise, we thank you again for your presentation. And now we will start the Q&A with the questions sent by the audience. First questions are for Dr. Matilde Codeña.
Prende su cámara. Excelente. Las preguntas dicen.
Video. The question is the following.
Los
Once
problemas.
you identify the problems that exist in the different systems, judicial, health, labor, they issue a number of reports. What are the following steps for those reports? Second question, what training opportunities for care and adequate protection are in place in Peru for the interdisciplinary teams and intersectorial teams?
Muchas gracias.
Thank
Respecto
you.
a la primera
With
pregunta,
regards to the first question related to the investigation reports, we follow the recommendations that we offer in those reports and in any other document that we issue for a specific case. For the follow-up of those recommendations, we meet with the competent officials from the legal system, from the health system, all the stakeholders, among them the Ministry of Women and the Ministry of Health. And we present our reports and we insist in complying with the recommendations, but we're also aware that in this context of constant changes in public management, there's been a delay, and this is major barrier for our effort in our office in terms of childhood and adolescence, because they change while we're making progress with the officials in dealing with this problem. They change, they appoint new authorities, we need to start again with them. And the office needs to continue insisting some officials with much greater disposition and political will to follow our recommendations on the investigation we do in terms of violence. Some others don't. They're quite reluctant to the defense of childhood rights, especially those who indicate that we promote a gender ideology. They don't understand the issue of defending children and adolescents, especially women, since they are girls, and the diversity of children and adolescents that we defend. So there's a lot of resistance. However, we continue working, and this is what we have to do in our role as the Ombudsman Office through persuasion. We persuade officials to comply their duties and respect their rights. That is what we do. With regards to the next question about the training possibilities, well, there are several different actors from the International Cooperation Office, such as Unicef, for example, the United Nations institutions, civil society organizations, our own office. But there's something where there's areas where we need to strengthen training, and that needs to be done in the competent stakeholders so they can understand what violence. We know, for example, that some judges or prosecutors are trained by prosecutors that don't promote gender equality, or they neglect that we should talk about feminicide. So that type of training delayed us our progress and make us go backwards, because we also need to fight against that type of position from other institutions that have to deal with violence against girls. So there's diversity, but we need to choose and coordinate efforts of those trainings and strengthening of capacities of the officials who deal with this type of problems is given with an approach of human rights and children and adolescents. Very important. Talk about childhood and adolescent in many courses for judges and teachers and professionals from different institutions, but with an assistance approach where the poor child, the poor girl, very sad for her or for him. Of course, we feel pain when we see these cases, but our role is not to ask the state to comply their obligations with a charity approach, but it has to be with an approach of human rights in respecting the human rights of the girls in this case. We need to know what to choose, what are we going to train is, what contents are those actors having, so we can strengthen all those things that we need to strengthen, have good practices, lessons learned, improve our own service to deal with the victims and increase our effort in preventing violence. I hope I've summarized in my answer.
Preguntas que nos han realizado. Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias por su respuesta, estimada doctora
Thank
Matilde
you
Cobb.
very much for your answer, Dr. Matilde Coveña. The following questions are addressed to Dr. Julie Herrera. What partners is Rotary working with to promote girls' empowerment? And the second question is how to promote parents accept the sexual education proposals in the school or in the community. For many, this is still taboo to talk about.
Gracias. Gracias por vuestras preguntas.
Thank you for your questions. The partnership that we have are level of each community. We have a partnership with the Alliance Health Organization, the Politonane Agreement, and we also trying to look for other strategic partnerships. But the sky is our limit. It depends on each one of us to find the necessary partnerships to work. We have Unicef, we have so many institutions that can support us, and we can nurture from all the projects that this program that has been presented today. And I think that we can continue empowering. We've done it the entire year. And this is a program that's here to stay. When it was launched on the past year, my presentation, I indicated that this is
Tiene larga data.
an initiative that has a long term. It cannot last 1 year that starts July 1st and ends June 30 as our regular period is in Rotary. It has to be measured in years. We cannot stop.
Como un pequeño oasis.
We start like a small oasis in a big desert.
Somos un oasis
At
más
this
grande.
moment, we are a larger oasis in that desert. Little by little, we will continue empowering girls depending on the effort and work that we put in all the Rotary Club. It's up to us as persons of looking those partnerships. Partnerships can be done with companies, with individuals, or international organizations. It depends on us. Globally, but in Peru, we at this moment,
distrital,
there's been a district and regional change. We hope to get close to them in January. To establish those. That doesn't stop us because we at that club level, we work with different communities and the creativity from each of these clubs, what makes that empowerment work. Works day after day, month and year to year. And we will achieve, we will get that because we are with action and with service in our hearts. And we say, we are volunteers. We work by our own will, and that's what leads us Rotary to move ahead. And that's why we continue with this initiative of eradicating polio from the earth. We won't stop, we continue. Because we believe that we can contribute with a small grain of sand in this ocean. We can do it if we set our mind on that. Together we are more.
Más de 1 millón
And we are more than 1.4 million Rotary members throughout the world that have the same vision of service in favor of others.
somos voluntarios.
And I repeat, we're volunteers. In my house and in my way, my wife and my husband, we live 24/7 as Rotary.
Para mí es un
Rotary for me is a life system. For my husband and my family, it's a life system of how we can contribute to life, to pay the rent of being in this planet by providing my skills and services in favor of the community.
Después la segunda pregunta que me hiciste.
And the second question was
¿Cómo promover que los padres de
how
familia
to promote parents to accept the sexual education proposals in school and community. Little by little, the world is changing, and we see that today sexual education is better through people who understand it, that the young find on their own through their friends.
Distorsionada y guiada.
Information that is misguided and misleading.
Nosotros conversamos, hablamos.
We talk,
Este proyecto de familias
with
fuertes.
this strong family project,
Somos
we talk,
comunicadores y somos
we are communicators, and we want to replicate
en esta formación.
in each one can replicate, and we will not. We know that we are parents, and we can reach the other parents that way.
Educación sexual no es un tabú.
Education is not a taboo. Perhaps it used to be a taboo, but I remember that a friend of mine
Las vacaciones de
came
verano.
to spend their summer holidays by the ocean, and she asked me for my science book because she wanted to see the male organ and female organ, because in the school where she attended, they pulled those pages and
Buscar la información por
they
otro
were very curious, so they were looking information somewhere else. I think we made a lot of progress, and I think that the family parents know that there's a need for sexual education to prevent those teenage pregnancies that we have at present.
educación sexual.
We need to provide a sexual education targeted to parents to know where we're heading. If you don't know what's happening, you won't be able to provide adequate information, truthful information. Let's prevent our children of getting information who are not trained to provide that information, which is misleading information. Truthful information, and by discussing and we will understand, and by we will make this country a better place to live, and we will promote a better dialogue with parents. The problem that we have now is that the young children have their tablet as their best companion, or a cell phone, and unfortunately, make a mistake, we give them the best cell phone, the best tablet to our children, and we are increasing that gap, the communication gap between parents and children, bigger. You go to a restaurant and you see a family and they all have their cell phone in their hand. At what time do they talk and share?
Es un instrumento
Cell phone is a necessary instrument, but only at some times. It's not part of your life or your hand or your ear.
Ha venido a interferir en la comunicación.
It interferes
Porque
the communication between fathers and parents and children.
la comunicación entre padres e hijos
The communication between parents and children is broken because of so many technology that we are providing.
Recapacitar.
We need to think this again.
Jugar.
It was so much fun when children went out to the street and play. Now, because of violence and insecurity, they can no longer do that. But children used to go to the park to play, and you know that he and she was in the same place. They were playing, ball or whatever. But now they just communicate through the cell phone. That's how they exercise and they communicate.
La tecnología ha venido a impedir
The
la
cell phone and technology prevents communication between parents and children.
Muchas gracias.
Thank
Espero
you.
pregunta.
Sí,
Ya
I
me fui
hope I
por
able to answer.
Mari Carmen
muchas
sabe cómo
gracias.
soy yo.
Muchas gracias por la respuesta,
Thank
estimada
you
doctora.
for your answer, the Dr. Julie.
Son para la
Now
doctora
the questions for Dr. Denise Sturkenberg. What is your experience of Unicef in working with
A partir de las lecciones
children and men?
¿qué recomendaciones
Following your experience, what recommendations would you give the Andean countries to potentiate interventions? And the second question is, how can we strengthen the girls empowering projects with the indigenous communities?
Muchas gracias a Forli y a todos que
Thank you,
compartieron
Forli, to all of you who share your questions that are very important. I'm going to try to be very brief because our time is up and I'm sure we all have things to do. But with respect to about masculinity and work with males,
Tenemos trabajo a nivel mundial en
we
varias
have worked in several parts of the world with
organizados, ¿no?
organized groups of males and children
Tienen una perspectiva
who have
igualdad de género que
a
coincide con la perspectiva
perspective of gender equality that coincides with what we are sharing this afternoon.
parece fundamental
So it is important to
estos grupos,
find these groups and organizations that have this experience and that who have developed their own frame on how to work gender equality.
Muchas veces son hombres con una
And many
perspectiva
times these are men who has a very strong feminist perspective.
muy fuertes en las comunidades, en todos los países en
So
donde
we've seen this in several countries where we're working, and we work with this kind of organizations because they organize from their own realities, can have a legitimacy to get to other groups of children and young adolescents and males beyond any of our organizations. We think it's important to generate dialogue spaces in masculinity efforts, especially where adolescents can listen, the adolescent girls understand the difficulties and challenges that they girls face without feeling threatened, feeling in a safe space, in a solidarity space that also means to empower of their own masculinity and have solidarity with girls and adolescent girls, and to work those concepts in a very constructive manner with existing methodologies. I think it's very important to create those spaces first where they can work between each other, and then little by little open to these dialogue spaces, these organized groups of young adolescents and males, adolescent girls and women, and promoting this.
Pero me parece que empezar con los grupos organizados que ya
With
existen.
organized groups that exist in the countries is very important. It's a globalized Men Engage Alliance.
Que muchas aquí quizás conocen.
Many of you perhaps know and are a key partner for Unicef in several parts of the world. They are in this part of the region, and I will encourage you to contact them
Si tienen interés en conocer más de su
if
trabajo.
you're interested in learning more about the report. The other question for Lee was how to potentiate the leadership effort of girls in original and aboriginal communities. And this is a major challenge for our organization because we need to learn in a very humble way to recognize
las culturas,
the dynamic of the work,
de organizar
how
de las niñas
they
de las comunidades.
organize in those original communities. So first is to listen.
Para nosotros es
First step, and for us, this learning is to work with the existing organizations. Let's not forget that the organizations of girls, adolescents, and women of original peoples exist. They're very strong, they know their reality. So the first step is to invite to dialogue, to hear them and their reality, understand their challenges, and be humble enough in our institutions, such as Unicef and other international organizations, are so big that sometimes we are far from the reality of these women and adolescents, that we need to be humble to be facilitators of the process. We need to be facilitators of their processes, not us from us, theirs, to listen them and use our comparative advantages from each organization, because each organization has a comparative advantage. And one of an institution like ours is an international scope to opening doors with government, use this comparative advantage to facilitate the arrival of the proposals and the voice of these organized groups of women, inviting, and this is the challenge that we will all should take home. There's some adolescents at the beginning. Is that the organized women groups have many to learn by listening to the adolescents. We need to invite the organized institutions or groups or feminist groups that have made so much progress in the agenda of gender equality in recent decades. Thanks to them, we're here. The next challenge, intergenerational dialogue, and we should hear the voice of adolescents and girls in the International Day of the Girl Child. The time is today. We need to listen to them seriously, the rights they have. And we know about the children's rights, the guarantee, the right to be heard in all the spaces, and have respect, and to see as facilitators and partners of their process, and not to pretend that the process belongs to us. Facilitate that dialogue of this organized girls and women. I thank you for the question. Thank you.
Muchas gracias a usted. Y bueno, retomando,
Well,
y Georgette nos
what
han
Annika and Georgette mentioned through their videos,
resumir un poco lo
I
que
would
ellos
like to summarize what they told us. They told us that for the optimal development of adolescent girls and women, that necessary for the government and the community to promote the empowerment of girls, quality education and training in values, care for the environment, and the promotion of healthy families. They mentioned the importance of groups such as CONA, where they provide spaces for their participation and where they promote the exercise of their rights. Considering what has been mentioned, and in closing, I would like that each one of our speakers could leave a final message of just 1 minute to our girls who are the opposite way with Denise Stukenberg. Thank you very much. The adolescents need to be the inspiration source challenges us, that we know that they know that we are here with them, but we always need to challenge us to think and to challenge the status quo, as I mentioned. Don't let us forget about their needs, their challenges, to be present always, and then never think that their voice is not important. You are the present, not just the future. So raise your voice and be heard. Here we are to support you. Thank you.
Excelente mensaje. Adelante.
Go ahead, Dr. Julie.
Les dije,
As I mentioned before,
niñas.
Girls' empowerment for me is moving ahead. We started last year and we're not going to stop because the girls deserve it. The girls deserve to have a safe environment and make their dream a reality. Need to lead, need to develop their own leadership and use the skills they have and not feel that are less than anyone, to love themselves for what they are, for what they feel. Let's start respecting them and ourselves. If you are skinny, fat, with glasses or with no glasses, with different types of hair, whatever, you are a unique being, and as a unique being, we will always respect you. If you learn how to respect yourself first, accept the way you are, accept yourself like you came to this world as a unique being,
Estamos luchando.
and we are all fighting for your voice, and you can build your dreams. Ahí está el limit. It's up to you to empower yourself. As Denise mentioned, we're just facilitators of that. We need facilitators so you can fulfill your dreams, you can elevate your voice, and we will there supporting you so that voice can be stronger and everybody stand up and applaud when a girl or an adolescent said, stop, more discrimination, enough violence, enough
De ofendernos
of
y de hacer
offending us and make us feel less. We are human beings like everyone else. We're the same. We came to this world to fight for a happy world,
sin credo, sin religión, sin política,
with no politics or religion, where our dreams become a reality.
somos gente de acción.
We are people of action, and you are people of action. We want to hear you. Raise your voice. Never stop talking. Never be afraid. Never fear. Behind you, we are there to support you. Thank you very much.
Muchísimas gracias por ese mensaje.
Thank you very much for that message.
Muchas gracias.
Doctora
Quiero
Codeña, thank you. I would like to
fuerza que ya han dicho quienes me han
repeat some ideas and tell the girls that their time is now. As Denise mentioned, not only the present, not only the future, but are the present
por lo tanto su tiempo
are around us, and your time is now. So that's why it's important to empower you and teach you. Don't be afraid to make us feel the adult women and male in general that need to be respect your rights, and it's an obligation of adults to respect
que no deben
their
ser
rights and should not be discriminated because of the gender or their age.
que las niñas
It is also important that girls
precisamente desde niñas, ¿no? Entre ellas, que confíen en
among them to trust them,
¿no? Y
to
también de nosotros las mujeres
believe the victims, and we also want to set the example to promote and participate in events like this because the girls observe us, and if you see adult women that compete among themselves and don't support each other and then become violent, what kind of message are we giving them? But that's important. The example, girls can also believe that they can fulfill their dreams and their goals, and that they can be in spaces like the one we are at present, and you can have the same opportunities that many adult women have. I'm sure that in the future that many more women in public positions defending other women, defending girls and defending the diversity of girls that we have.
¿No? Y en cualquier territorio y en cualquier
any area or part of the world. So dear girls, you're listening us, and the adult women,
hay que permitirles a ellas
we need to let them raise their voice, exercise their right to participation, and
tengan a las niñas para la foto, para decir que
girls for the photo, they say that we hear their voice, but we're not accountable. Many of us here are convinced that the right to participation,
El derecho a la
the
participación
right to participation implies that those adults that have taken note of the children's requests are accountable on what they've done with regards to those requests. Otherwise, the girls will not believe us. Many children question us when they don't have a response beyond of what. So it is important to tell them why we haven't achieved something that they have requested. It is important to tell them, and it's a good idea that girls have a space like this one that you are promoting, Gloria, Marisela, Doctora Mari Carmen.
Qué bueno que tengan espacios
Julie,
como
that you have spaces like this so they can see that we can join efforts from each of our roles and continue defending their rights. I know that there are many problems that still affect girls in our country and in the world. That shouldn't prevent us to congratulate ourselves from the achievements and to wish a happy International Day where we have a gift which is respecting the rights of the girls. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias por ese mensaje, doctora
Thank you
Cohen.
for that message. Once again, we would like to thank our three excellent speakers and to all the attendees of this week, the Horas Cono team, and to all of those who participate in this activity, which has been possible thanks to the commitment to Andean and Latin American. I give the floor to Dr. María Carmen to close this webinar. My first words to thank thanks to Matilde, Julie, and Denise, and very special to Ruby and Forley and the entire group of Horas Conyo that makes possible that every week we celebrate a webinar. I'm a defender of children, adolescent, people who know me. I've been working in this for years, and I'm an advocate for girls because they've not been lucky like us to be here making our voice heard, because it all starts by listening. But so they can speak, we need to give the adequate environment. So they can have empowerment with no participation. Each participation from the home, and you are a mother or a grandmother and ask you, what do you think about this, where you're going, or whatever you're asking. And the question with participation is that you also have to be ready to participate. These two adolescents from Kona that sent us the messages have spoken about climate change, about values, spoken about education. Why be prepared? Because the issue is not only you want to participate, but you are able to participate. You need to have information, and I believe that's where we need to put our effort. Our girls need to be more informed and have an
confianza en la vida.
trust in life. I always repeat what happened to me when we start the teenage pregnancy prevention. We were in the Ministry of Health, we were adolescent representatives, and we were starting the plan Matilde. It was 2013. After the meeting was over, and one of these girls, 18-year-old girl, came to me and told me, "Doctor, help us." How? Tell the teachers, don't take our dreams away. Really made me feel terrible. Imagine a professor get your dreams away. It was very strong for me. So that is also our commitment
de madres,
physicians, professional mothers, fathers, and everyone. At the end, we were lucky. Those of us who are here, we were lucky. Each one organized her life, her profession. Some of us are grandmothers. Well, it was good, but why? Let's remember, had a whole platform of support. Nobody can create him, just do things alone. That's not true.
Todo el mundo tiene que apoyar.
Everyone needs support.
Y es por eso que la
That is why the approach of girls' empowerment has to be ecological. In other words, teach the parents how to better communicate, learn how to listen, respect their rights, collaborate with schools so schools can generate
puedan participar.
girls that are empowered.
Para que se
Talk
hagan
with a local government. So there's when they apply for a position or a job,
políticas, la defensoría,
the
¿no?
ombudsman, the ministry, people need to make their efforts because this is not just it's that we're all involved. And I don't know who mentioned, but they only asked me, but Mari Carmen, why the International Day of the Girl Child? You have the International Women's Day. Why? Because the future start at the infancy. Well, the children, listen, how many times you heard this? They are the future. No, they're not the future, they're the present. Things that we adequately do with depend their future. So I really enjoy what I've heard. We will continue working in the Andean Health Organization. Nicole non-agreement believes in what this is not our first meeting. We have empowered girls, boys, and adolescents to be digital journalists so they can spread the knowledge.
Hemos tenido foros
We've had
donde los
meetings to prevent teenage pregnancy where the adolescents have asked what they want, and that has been channeled to the Ministry of Health, not only in the Andean region, but from other countries. We've been yesterday in a meeting for the partnership for vaccines, the vaccines for our girls, boys, and adolescents. We do really believe in safe and equal environments. We know that we still have severe problems with violence, a very difficult topic. But what is the hardest part is that there are still people that consider it as normal. That's when we look at the numbers of violence, who hits more when you're a kid? Mother hits more. Mother hits more. I'm sorry for what I'm saying, but it's a mother who hits the child most.
las lleva el viento. Mentira. La violencia.
No, the violence, psychological violence is also serious and can make a mark on you for the rest of your life. No, I was mad when I told you that. No, you need to have emotion control. Yeah, with rage, but you cannot batter your children and treat them badly. And what about, what can we say about sexual violence? We very well know that the smaller they are, it's almost the same in boys and girls. But when they grow, it's mostly 2/3 of those reports are on girls and adolescent girls. And what is the issue with the violence? That this is a very complicated, but when you see who are the perpetrators, 69% are in the home. So this is also
También es
an
un tema de decir no a
issue
esto
of
y de no
saying no to violence and not allowing.
Yo digo, cuando hay un
Always say that when there's a case of violence, there are three: victim, the perpetrator, and the one who did anything.
¿ok? No sigamos no haciendo nada. Cuando nosotros
It's-
veamos algo
it's-
que no debe ser,
Stop doing nothing. When we something that shouldn't be, let's raise our voice.
así, ¿cómo ganamos lo del tabaco en Perú?
How did we manage tobacco in Peru with social control? When you see somebody smoking, everybody looks at him or her. Well, when we see a violent, psychological violence or physical violence and sexual violence, not only raping, there's several other ways of sexual violence. Let's not allow it. Belief of those who are saying that are being used.
Seguramente
They
no.
know you're probably inventing things. No, how you believe that your uncle is going to do that to you? No. When a girl or a boy or an adolescent says that they're being abused, you need to believe them. That's it. It's a direct message. Let's believe. If we find out that it didn't happen, but we always need to believe one. And something extremely important, the participation.
Pequeñas tienen que tener la
Since they're small, they need to have the capacity to express their ideas, their thoughts, and their emotions.
Ahora tenemos
Thank
más
God we have more children in pre-kinder. There are many things that they've been done to control their emotions and self-esteem, but not everyone is
a las poblaciones con
with that. And there we have the populations with highest vulnerability. Let's not forget the intersectionality, that unfortunately still, gender is still a problem. Because if women, rural, poor, and farm regional, and disabilities, these are variables that are not going to play. Thank you so much for your participation. It's been excellent. And let's not forget that everything starts with respecting the rights of the other. The day that we are convinced that the one who's next to us has the same rights that you, Peru and the world will be better. I'll see you in your next webinar this Thursday. And we're going to talk about International Day of Pastors. So we're going to talk about pastors. Thank you very much, Julie. Thank you very much, Mati. Denise left. Thank you very much to everyone. And have a good night. And for those of you, good afternoon. Thank you.
Buenas noches, gracias por la invitación.
Muchas gracias.
Chao, Yuri querida.